Can you all hear? Good? Hey, Eduardo, sit down, come on. Okay. I don't come all this way just for you guys to stand around. Come on. Sit down. Okay. Part of what LEI has stood for over the years, and it's interesting in Alan's discussion this morning about collaboration, talked about trust and trusting your colleagues. And I think because of the way Law Exchange has been, a smaller network in relative to some of the bigger networks in the world. I think you know Procopio, we are a member of a bigger network as well. that creates this closeness and trust. And many of us have been coming for many years, and I think what LEI brings to the table that many networks do not is a sharing of knowledge. And over the years, there's been a lot of people from the different firms talk about their operations, their situations, and we've all learned. And I think the goal of a weekend like this is not just meeting each other and listening to the presentations, but at the same time to take away something, right? And all you got to do is take away one or two little things, and hopefully they help. And over the years, they make a difference to how your firm runs and operates. But I think we're moving to a new phase where that's going to become even more important. When we talk about one of the things this weekend, and I'll mention in a bit how we got there, which is artificial intelligence tools, I would suspect none of us have the money to invest a lot in the R&D of AI tools to figure out what's good for us and what's not good for us. And if you listen to the salesmen of all these tools, they're all good for us, right? Because they're all great and they all work, and just plug them in and off you go, which is totally false. So how do we learn about how do we use these tools? Which ones are useful for us? Therefore, this issue of us sharing knowledge is becoming even more important. And I think a group like LEI has that opportunity. Big networks have trouble doing this. That's one of our big advantages. And so when we got to Toronto, and a couple of these slides don't have, there's a couple of things missing from these slides as they got transmitted. It's no big deal. We'll get to where we need to go. So in Toronto, the executive committee had put the challenges, put this agenda together where we asked the member firms, what are the challenges you're all going to be facing? Are there common ones that we can identify as universal challenges? And if so, can we come up with some responses that seem to have universal application? And to do that, we put together 4 groups. Okay, Group A, moderator. Group B, Simon Biggin, who's not here this weekend. Group C was David, who is here this weekend. And Ian Robinson from Australia, who's not here this weekend. So those 4 groups got together, and the goal was to break up in breakout groups, and for those of you in Toronto, you know this, and discuss in each group what are the challenges that we're all facing as law firms in today's world, and can we come up with, and I think we gave them 4, no more than 4, maybe it was 5, no more than 5 challenges that they all seem to agree on in their separate groups. Then what we did, we brought those groups back together, and the 4 groups reported on what the 4 challenges were. And we looked at these 4 challenges, and theoretically, we could have had 16, right? 4 times 4, if everyone had come up with 4 different challenges that the other 3 teams didn't, we could have had 16 items. Well, of course, a lot of commonality. So we ended up with, I think, something like 9 or 10. And from that, the whole group talked about focusing on 4. And we broke it down to 4. And then we assigned one of those 4 to each of the groups again. And we told them to go back to their groups and come up with an action plan for each of those 4 challenges. And what we did, Group A came back and defined their group as an action plan for pricing, procurement, and being valued by clients. They grouped their topic into that title. And because this didn't translate in the slide, I don't know why, you're not going to see what their 5 steps was, secret, right? And it's really not relevant for today anyway, but you saw it because all that material got sent to you. It's on the LEI site. Anyway, second group, also another secret. Actually not, because tomorrow we'll talk about it. Focused on the action plans for artificial intelligence. All right? The third group focused on action plan for talent management, hiring, recruiting, and retaining. And that was actually their several of their action plan items. Group D came back with an action plan for leadership. That was their 5, 6. You know what, I love lawyers when I say give me 4 things and I get 5. Give me 5 things, I get 6. And I don't know what it is. There's just this issue that must give a bit more, or else it's me and I'm not going to do what Perkins says. I mean, I don't know what it is. But that's great. So there were the 4. So then they were discussed, great, and we finished up with these action plans. And like most of our law firm strategic plans, what happens? Let's put it in a slide deck. Let's put it on the law site, the LEI website, or in a strategic plan, let's stick it on a shelf, and it tends to sit there. But the answer, when the exec committee decided this, I come up with the idea. I said, look, well, actually several of us, it wasn't my idea in particular, let's create what we're going to call, just for the next 2 years, the LEI University. Let's take these 4 challenges. They're not going to go away. They're pretty universal. And for the next 4 sessions, let's focus on one each at the 4 sessions. And so what we did was say, okay, let's do that. And we decided, obviously, because you've seen the agenda, that here we're going to focus on artificial intelligence. In the legal industry, how do we prepare? How do we use? Is it baloney? Is it serious? Are we in trouble? Does it not matter? Whatever. How are we going to, let's spend Bangalore with a few sessions and bring in speakers, bring in experts to speak to that subject. In Prague, we're going to focus on leadership. Same thing, we'll look for people who come in this area of leadership as part of the program for the 2 days. 3, pricing, procurement, and being valued by clients in Guadalajara, which is next, actually the date is set, it's I think October, sometime, Carlos, I can't remember the exact date. Yeah, it's in your agenda. And then in Denmark, talent management, hiring, recruiting, and retaining. Procopio's very interested in number 4 because given the latest employment changes and the attitude of most employees in California, we're going after hiring people from Scandinavia. That's going to be one of our major programs here over the next 5 years. So anyway, here are the next 4 programs. And under this sort of LEI University, our goal is to give you some education that hopefully you can take back 1 or 2 things here and use, and they become valuable in running your own firms or participating, educating your other partners and your other firm leaders. So, having said that, this is what the AI one will be doing this weekend. Firstly, and this will be tomorrow, I'll give a brief report. If you look at, it was blank. The AI was blank, but one point on that was do a survey of LEI members. We've done the survey. Another was some sort of survey of the field. We've done the survey of the field, and we'll mention that in the morning, of a certain limited field of AI products. So we'll talk about that in the morning, and we'll talk a bit about what I think we can do with this database of knowledge. It's going to take some sort of software work by us, or, LEI, we'll figure that one out. Because we will need, I think, all your input. Though what the survey will show is quite a few people are playing with these AI products. So we want to be able to track what you do with them, that it comes into a central source where suddenly we can all benefit from all the other members' work in these areas. And we're going to have some guest speakers this weekend. Manisham Shandil, got it round the wrong way. Sorry, Manisham. I was typing this up late at night last week. Who's actually going to be, interestingly, under our LEI University concept, our first keynote speaker on AI. So, and then also tomorrow we'll have a couple of experts working in AI who'll be on a panel, and that'll happen tomorrow. And then hopefully at the end of tomorrow we'll have a bit of time to talk about what's some of the stuff you've heard and where will we go with this whole area. And so that's what's coming, and I'll introduce Manisham in a couple of seconds. Just let me touch one thing on the US. We're not going to talk about the US market here. Actually, we're all doing quite well, relatively. So things are going, but there's a couple of things that happened that people seem to... So part of the discussion in the US has been, because suddenly now the economy is surging, and we don't know how long it will continue to surge, but it's surging. So you're seeing some of the consultants who like to create chaos, because that's how they get paid. They want us to all be uncertain. Are sort of getting worried because they think some law firms are now saying, see, things are getting better. We don't need to worry about all this stuff we've been trying to do and transform our firms, because we're going to go back to the old ways. And I want to tell you, no, we're not. We're not going to be going back to the old ways. All that the in-house, the general counsel have been learning, they're going to stick to. They're going to continue to drive the way they've been driving in the pressure on us. And in the research, and I've talked, last week I talked to 3 or 4 of the top consultants who I actually believe, I don't believe many of them, as some of you know, the ones I trust, and some other leaders of some big law firms we have relationships with, and basically the price pressures continue. And in fact, they're accelerating. So I don't think we're going to see any change in the worries and concerns we have. The number, just as this is a figure, in the AmLaw 200, the number of shareholders and equity partners today is less than it was 5 years ago. And that's sort of interesting, right? I mean, how people, they're just not promoting people into what we call the equity categories as partners. And another fact I learned last week, which was a little frightening, one of the leaders of how, because a lot of this weekend is about how is technology transforming what we're doing, what is it going to be like, i.e. under the artificial intelligence bracket, as affecting our business, our ways of doing business. Well, the leader in technology has been LegalZoom the last 10 years. They've built technology platforms across all products that started out really for the individual and have now become used by many, many of our clients. And they're not a law firm. Technically, there have been a lot of lawsuits, but they're winning most of them. But then I heard that they recently have, over the last 18 months, I think the survey was, they have been used to form 15% of all the nonprofits in the US. 10 years ago, that was work we were doing. And this thing's creeping up quietly underneath all our regular work. So while we're all in the US happy because things are picking up, this technology, this sort of competition from usual law firm competitors is going to continue. So let's not fool ourselves in that regard. So that's why I think listening to what's happening today is, Manishan's speech and also tomorrow will be very important. One of the things, I coined the word managing on the edge a couple of conferences ago, and I use it with our partners because at the end of the day, when we talk about helping everyone, we're all successful firms, we're all survived, so we're still here. So we've all learned how to handle what I call macro management of a law firm. But because of the competitive pressures, we all have to learn what I call all these incremental little things that are going to help us do better. And there's many of them, and when you're successful at them all, what I call managing around the edge of the macro model, basically they'll all help us continue to be successful. Accessing technology, understanding technology, how it can help us a little bit here, a little bit there, is about what this weekend's about. At the same time, they're the things that will help us. So these things are important to our future, I believe. Having said that, let me introduce Manishan, who is Director of Global Technology Organization in the Global Technology Organization Department, I should say, of LexisNexis. He's responsible for the Asian Pacific Group. He kindly agreed to come and be our keynote speaker today. LexisNexis, if you know the name, they've been in the legal business for a long time in technology. I've really made a focus the last few years, and I think it's increasing, and you'll hear more about that on artificial intelligence. Manishan's born in Delhi, been 10 years with Lexis, and before that, another, years in technology companies, so he's been 20 years in this business. So with that, thank you for coming, and I look forward, I've seen his presentation, and I think you'll be very, very excited by it. So, Manishan.
Hello, everybody. I just got in this afternoon. Thanks, Lexigent, Jim, for inviting me. I mean, that's a great forum. Meet everybody across the globe under one single roof. As what Jim mentioned, right? LexisNexis has been known as a legal publisher for many, many years. And now LexisNexis is actually changed and now known as a technology company which is providing legal and business solutions. That's what the focus of the market is, and that's what the need of the market is. If you see, the print demands are going down, nobody wants to carry those heavy books. People need, concise information very soon, very quick. Artificial intelligence, this word has been going around for a while in the market, what it is, what are we doing with artificial intelligence? Essentially, what we're doing is that whatever we see with our eyes and what our human brains detect, we try to put those rules into place to get a more refined information rather than we applying time and we applying brains to get those informations. And we get it through the machine. So some of the sci-fi movie examples, I really like them, which actually made it to reality. And I take this as that, art sometimes inspires science. And 2001, Space Odyssey movie, everybody liked it. They had flat screens. Astronauts were reading from the flat screens. And if you look at the first iPad advertisement from Apple, it actually had those glimpses of that movie. 1982, Blade Runner. It was the first movie which showed a video calling from the phone. So now you have Facebook, Skype, on your phones. You have Google Duo, Star Trek. I think Star Trek has been really good in predicting the technology and what it could bring to the human lives. Um, they had Captain Spock always talk to the captain using the REST communicators, and you have smart watches today. In fact, the recent released watch is the best innovative product they have called for this year, because it actually gives you your ECG and whatnot, everything. So what what has happened is, if you see, over the past history of mankind, that we invented wheels to cars, and then cars to autonomous cars, and then from mechanical machines to tablets and whatnot, and we keep on striving and we keep on looking for efficiencies. It doesn't mean that the 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 jobs have gone away, rather the jobs have increased. The opportunities have increased across the globe, everywhere, and there has been more collaboration across the globe in order to achieve a better result. Um, Now the next one is, as we see that all these inventions have come into play, there has been an acceleration in the change. So if you see, the first evolution of a change, which was from an agricultural revolution to an industrial revolution, took about 8,000 years. And then 120 years to a light bulb, and then 90 years to a moon landing. And then you go to a World Wide Web and human genome coding now. And now there are talks going on for interplanetary visits and whatnot. So that's where we all are heading towards. One of the other key things which has happened, and which is actually fueling more and more demand and giving more and more opportunities to bring AI to the world, and it is making it possible, is the computing power we all have today. That's actually some statistics around that number of computer calculations you can do per $1,000. So if you look at it, then the from 1900s, the it has grown exponentially, but then in year 2000 we had Power 4, Power Mac G4, and in 2015 we have actually surpassed, thanks to Amazon Cloud and Azure, Microsoft, and all the cloud computing solutions and different other data centers, we have actually surpassed the brain power of a mouse. And it's predicted that we will surpass the brain power of a single human by the year of 2023, and so on and so forth. So now every big company globally, they are not taking any of the infrastructures, they are not building any physical servers, they are taking everything on the cloud. They're going towards Amazon or Azure solutions or anything else, and that's what it's fueling. I mean, that's where you can ramp up, you can pay per hour, you can pay per day, and as per your usage. Uh, what's AI? Now, AI actually, if you look at it, then it consists of machine learning, natural language processing, and deep learning. The fourth one, advanced features, is a derivative of uh, what actually these three create for us. So taking an example of machine learning is basically, it we have a large amount of content when we are dealing with content, and we have to go through the content over and over again in order to find the same kind of information. What it does is that you can classify the information. So when we say classify the information, which means you classify an information by a judge, by a court, by a lawyer, by a law firm, by a government organization, by a company, a private company, or whatnot. So you start classifying those informations. And then once you have classified those informations, then you start creating the clusters out of those informations. What these information form a cluster. So they may be similar, they may be dissimilar. Some are exponential, some are odd ones out, and then you start feeding it to the machine to give you more better results and how they are correlated together. Semantic analysis. One of the good examples of semantic analysis is that the way we read the uh, judgment from the code, and then when we are reading the judgment from the code, certain paragraphs are dissenting, some are just cited, some citations are overruled, and so on and so forth. The words will not be always consistent against those citations, right? Somebody will write, it is positively treated, somebody will say something else. So you actually start analyzing those words across a citation. And that's what start giving you an annotation. And what you do is that you require SMEs who actually keep on feeding it to the machine more and more rules to find out if, and to get an accurate result, to get a 100% result. Actually, machine learning, this term was coined by a guy called Arthur Samuel in 1959 in US. Natural language processing. This is an interesting one. So, machine learning is actually classifying all your data for you, clustering all the data, creating all the relationships, and then also letting you know how it could benefit. Now, natural language processing, you might have used a lot of legal research tools, and you have binary operators there. So, this and this and so on and so forth. You're not able to write in a natural language the way you write and detect it. So what it does, it gives you that ability. Basically, it translates your query, search query into, into what you actually mean, and it transfers to the machine to actually return you those results. If you're not happy with it, then it learns again itself. One of the good examples of this is that the way we do taxonomy or the indexing of the content, the way we do case summaries of the content, or probably the head notes. Those are some of the implementations by which you create. And then from there on, if you go to the deep learning, that's actually what, if I have to put it in a layman's term, it will be, more to say, connection to the human brain, the way human brain behaves. So what it is doing is that it is just creating a threshold, and creating some weighted parameters. So for example, if I'm going through a judgment, and if I'm going through a judgment and I find that, okay, this para is actually related to my subject, and is this positively treated in my matter or is it negatively treated in my matter? You start creating those weighted parameters around it, and then it starts giving you the results, and start passing it on to the next level of algorithms, which are actually giving you much better results and providing you abstracts. So journal abstracts is one example. Writing, creating the precedents, or if the law has changed, for example, what Vijay was also talking about earlier in the session, that in India there is a lot of law which gets changed, and in everywhere a lot of law which gets changed, with judgments, with regulations, with rules, with acts, and Parliament passing the new amendments. Now, as these laws come in, we all have, there is an exercise of going back to your matter, going again, finding out how does it impact, how it happens. That's where deep learning comes into play, and then resolves and gives you a better results or predictive results, which says Well, these are the probabilities. These are my findings. So rather than you doing all the research work, it gives you the findings upfront. Advanced. So one of the other examples of deep learning is um, you might be knowing we have a LexisNexis risk, which actually deals with risk solutions for insurance, finance. They have a very good solution. I mean, basis of this, they have a very good solution, and many other companies are also implementing it. Is to detect the risk of any financial transactions, compliance risks, any risk of the insurance. Advanced features is basically conversation with the chatbots, facial recognitions. There are companies. There's a Criminal Bureau of India which recently launched a tender, and they are asking for facial recognition of the criminals mapped to their databases on social media and whatever, and giving them results. So that's where these advanced features are coming in. Any questions till now? Am I going fast? Um, Now, what's actually changing the markets actually, and how everything is tying up together. First is that today we all need personalization, which means that we want technology enhancing so that highly relevant result sets come to us. Now, if let's say I'm a lawyer, I'm working in a you know Karnataka High Court, I may just want to see only the results from Karnataka and Supreme Court of India, and only the ones which are related to my matter. Today, if you do a search in any of the platforms, it gives you maybe junk, a lot of junk, and then you have to filter it out and find out those things. That's where the personalization comes. And then as you keep on doing the search, as you keep on refining it, and you keep on feeding it back, it gives you more and more, intuitive results which are related just for your matters. Uh, so there is a very good example around it is that, what is the tribunal which is set up for insolvency, like, you know,
IBC.
yeah, yeah. So they have recently, those courts have recently asked for a solution where they need a decision support system. And it's just on this personalization. They don't want to go, the judges, they don't want to go into all the acts, go into all the different related items. What they want to do is that they want a single snapshot of what this matter is, what those cite cases, legislations which are cited here, is there any analytical material related to it? They need just one snapshot, and that's what the personalization is talking about. And that's where even the governments are headed towards. Disruptive technologies, you know, as I just mentioned, that you have a lot of computing power today, and it's increasing. Now, with that, most of the companies are implementing robotic process automation, which is RPA, and which is basically dealing with day-to-day transactional stuff. So if you're just filling up some forms on daily basis, if you're just filling up timesheets on daily basis, it is just done through a robot, which is just nothing but an algorithm which is just running day in day out. And that actually is saving a lot of cost. Then that's domain specific. So domain specific will be legal, finance, insurance, and whatnot. Data proliferation. Now, as I mentioned before, earlier, the in the legal world itself, uh, it was more centric towards hard copies and books or loosely content. Now, when it goes to online, you can actually publish a lot of content which you have. and create a lot of derivative products and bring in more value-added information to the end user. Like for example, citators, shepherds. Now there is we also have a product which is again, created two machines. It's called as legislative citators rather than a case citator that's going through a legislation. And it just picks up the information based on that legislation, analytical material, cases, clubs it all together and gives it in one snapshot. Internet of Things. Um, Internet of Things is basically, your cars, phones, air conditioners, fridge, everything which you use in your household or on daily basis is getting connected to the internet. You can literally be sitting here and somewhere else in the world you can turn on your AC or disconnect or whatever. So the game being fueled by earlier when the content was created, there was a lot of effort which was being spent in actually marking up the content. That I have a judgment, for example, or if I have a legislation, then I have to mark up the date of enactment separately, title of the legislation separately, section number separately, its commentary separately, and everything separately has to be tagged, and then only it could be delivered to an end customer. That all has gone away. Everybody is moving towards data lake. So everybody is just placing all the unstructured content there, whether it's Word, HTML, PDF, and whatnot, and it just picks up. Machine learning just picks up the data which is relevant to you and delivers you at the time when you need it. In fact, there are a lot of solutions available today whereby there were there was a lot of there's a lot of work which has been done whereby if a law firm already has the software or they already have a software, they already have something working for them. They don't want to change, they don't want to buy a new solution, but they want your content. They want a new product which you have displayed to be part of the system. So the using Internet of Things, or you can say data proliferation or AWS. Now companies like LexisNexis and others, we are providing API support whereby we expose certain APIs, we export certain functions to those law firms or work with them collaboratively in order to get those content integrated with them. And it gets delivered to them on demand. Network as a system, as I said, earlier networks were considered as networks. Today, if you look at Azure or AWS or any other data centers in the world, they're working more as systems rather than anything else. In fact, AWS, Amazon, and Microsoft are creating inbuilt algorithms which are catering to particular domains for legal, for finance, so that the engineers don't have to create new algorithms for any particular domain. You can just plug and play and start creating your own one. Okay? Uh, this is basically where we are and where we want to go. This is actually where we are. So we started with a on your left hand side, if you see that's data, and everybody has a lot of data there. What we used to do was, we used to do analytics, which was descriptive, tagging of the data. There was a lot of human input involved. You do search, you do a lot of things, and then there was a decision and an action done. Then we have increased now to a diagnostic phase. So when I say diagnostic phase, which means that we have come up to a stage whereby we are at the initial stages of machine learning being used in the legal world, whereby we have started to classify the data, we have started to make correlations between the data, so that the human input is this, and still the decisions and actions need to be taken. But where we are going and where we want to be is actually to be predictive. There are certain solutions which are already there, whereby, sorry, the throat is bad, whereby you know, predict certain outcomes. That if you present a particular case, if you use certain legislative text, if you are using certain areas of analytical material, what's going to be the prediction? How the judge is going to take it? And then from there on, we want to actually, the ultimate goal is to be prescriptive, whereby, as I just mentioned, one of the cases of a decision support system or decision automation, whereby, as lawyers, as law firms, you guys are totally confident on the decision that machine has come up back with, and it is providing you some predictive analysis, and you can say, yes, this is right. And it will happen with a continuous feedback loop of all the decisions which you have been making, and this goes back to the data. It again trains itself and gives you predictive results. Okay, just tying it back to, I think, what Jim was also saying earlier about pricing being a big challenge. Anyways, I'm not saying that this is going to address everything, but one of the key things, as I mentioned in the previous slide, is that there's a lot of manual, repetitive work which can actually be completed by the machine. That's where we are heading to, whether it's RPA, whether it's machine learning, whether it's AI based solutions. And it allows you to, work on more value-added tasks and reduce the cost of the this, there has been some cases as well, which I will share later. Okay. So there is I want to demystify one thing. Is AI going to replace lawyers? In the first slide, I also mentioned that, there has been innovations where we said, oh, now this manual task is gone, and what will these laborers do, and what will these, low-skilled people will do? And from then till now, we all have been, witnessing all the new revolutions in technologies and all the new automations. We have been asking for it as well, and like it. This doesn't mean that people are jobless, things are gone. No, it actually requires more highly skilled people, and we as humans have been very adaptive about it. So if you look at this red area, which is 44% of the task, that's a McKinsey study done in US, that advising, communicating, negotiating, going to the courts is 44% of the task which lawyers do. That's obviously not going to be replaced by a robot. Judge is not going to like a robot in front of it. So that's not going to happen. The other areas, 29%, which is research and analysis, yes, that will diminish. But will it go to zero? No. Because you still have to feed back to the machine whether it's giving you a right result or not all the time. And this needs to improve over a period of time. There are activities which are happening in writing and drafting, whereby it will give you a closest match of a template or a summary or a head note of a case, or probably predicting some of the analysis work. So all in all, if you see, then it's not really going to replace lawyers, but yeah, it is going to provide you more efficiency down the line to make more better decisions and provide you more informative results of your searches. What do you want to achieve in a short span of time? Focus in India. I've shared some examples that what the focus in India is. Actually, going back to the discussion which was happening earlier, India is actually third as per the BCG Boston Consulting Group study in the terms of artificial intelligence implementation. Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India has actually constituted a AI task force, and the vision statement is that they want to implement AI-rich economies and especially economic, political, and ethical thought process. And that's why there is a lot of funding on the e-course. There's a lot of funding happening from the government, even in the areas of AI or developing new solutions for the courts. Earlier, um, earlier, high courts and supreme courts were always being a part of attention. Now, the government is asking to create a um information loop between all the district courts as well, or the lower level courts as well. There's a very interesting study which has recently been released start of this year. HDFC, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank in India, private banks, big banks, they've achieved an efficiency of 60% plus by using the AI based bots. It's an SBI is actually embarked on a journey. They are implementing a facial recognition based uh, customer service in their branches. So if a customer walks in, it recognizes the face, it tries to see whether it's a customer, and then what could be done for it or what are the pain points. One of the other things which is very key, especially to the legal industry, not very much for the other industries, but for the legal industry is, we always have been struggling with the different formats of the content. So with my example, with my experience, I'll tell you, even in the Supreme Court of India, if there are 18 courtrooms, on a single day, every courtroom which issues a judgment, their PDF formats are totally different. And just forget about the state high courts and everything else. So this, with the data lake concept, with machine learning and everything else, we are actually going towards an unstructured data. We don't need to really bother about what format they are giving us the data in. We just need to train the machines where to find, what to look for, and we set the algorithms in place. So basically what a human eye can see and judge, it's a case number or it's not a case number, it's a case number for this case or arising from a previous case. Those are the rules you can build and actually start getting the results. And it saves a lot of and gives you a lot of efficiency in the work. And obviously, there is a since the turnaround time of the content is also going to be faster because you don't have to go through all the manual effort to get all these things done. I'll share some examples. There's a uh, Facebook Messenger based chatbot which actually simplifies your US visa filing. It's an interesting one. So you just go on this chatbot, start asking you questions, start asking you all the different questions which are on your US visa application form, basis the kind of US visa application you're filing in. It will ask for all the documentation, you upload the documentation and it's filed. Saves a lot of time. Today, you may be spending, I think US visa application is the easiest one, I believe it's like 1.5 page in India. But it'll still take you about half an hour, 1 hour kind of a time frame to fill that up, forget about other countries. So it saves a lot of time. This one is a product called as Separate Us. And it actually files a divorce, sends a divorce notice and files a case. It's a US-based product which actually, fills up the form, asks supporting questions, and even if there are some more confusing questions, it simplifies it and asks the questions. It asks you to upload the documents. So just going by what Jim was saying earlier, there's a lot of effort which is being done by a lot of small companies. And in this product, they have actually, if you go to this product, they have actually linked up with a lot of small time lawyers. And you can anytime go and connect with the lawyer. And they will connect you with that lawyer, and they have some kind of a subscription management in place at the background. Ping, that's an interesting one. So it's basically automated timekeeping system, and it not only time keeps the system for billable hours for any law firm or lawyers, but it also uses AI and machine learning to do mine the data and find the user behaviors. When I say user behaviors, which means that what are the repeated activities which are happening, what are the outcomes which are happening, how certain customers are behaving, or how efficient the transactions have been. Now at Nexus, we have also actually embarked on a journey, on the AI journey. And the principles we have been following is that we think big, because the hardest problems could be solved if you think big. And trying to know the customer from various activities, various forums. You have customer discovery interfaces. A lot of students are coming back with a lot of good ideas. A lot of startups are doing a lot of work. So you start picking up those activities. What is efficient? What more value we can provide? What things we can provide which will make a lawyer's life more efficient in lesser time to make any decisions. But the core of it is that as we go into artificial intelligence more and more, the things are going to be more complex. The demands are going to be much higher. If I can do this, why can't I do that? Can you give me this as well? But the idea is to keep the things simple. Ultimately, if a solution which is provided back, if it is very complex to use, there's no use of having that solution in place. Um, Now, LexisNexis has been known for its data assets. As I said before, we are now a technology company providing legal business solutions. And we are using all the cutting edge technologies to actually provide the best possible solutions in the legal world. We have recently done some acquisitions in US, Lex Machina, Revel Law, IntelliGize, and we are actually integrating all these all acquisitions which we have done are all in the machine learning and AI related space, and especially in the legal world. And we are actually integrating all of this into our product called as Lexis Advance and being offered globally. So if you can, I'll just have a one demo of Revel Law. Can you just play the video, please?
RavelView shows you the cases and relationships that judges consider most important by visualizing citations between cases and Shepard's treatment. RavelView is a new way to look at your Lexis Advance search results, designed to help you find key cases faster and uncover overlooked cases. To access RavelView, select the icon on the search results screen. This view presents the top 75 case results from your search. Each circle you see represents one case, and the lines connecting the case shows you cases it cites to and is cited by within your results. The size of the circles indicates how often a case has been cited. The larger the circle, the more the case has been cited. RavelView maps cases on a timeline from left to right and along a jurisdictional hierarchy from top to bottom. The highest federal court is displayed at the top, then other federal court levels, followed by state courts. The court categories displayed correspond to the courts found in your search results. For example, if your first 75 results do not include U.S. Supreme Court cases, that category will not display. The RavelView illustrates relevance by the case's placement vertically within a particular court level. The higher the circle within the court's horizontal lane, the more relevant according to the search results. When you click on a case circle, the case name and site will display, and any case connections from your top 75 search results are highlighted. The Shepard's treatment information for the connected cases also display. And note, your results list shifts the case you selected to the top of the results list. Hover over any circle of the citing case with Shepard's treatment to see the point of law discussed to determine if the other court's analysis is relevant to your research. To return to the full view of all available case connections, click anywhere in the background of the map. You have the ability to refine your RavelView using all the usual filtering options. Select the Filters pull-down menu to filter your search. RavelView allows you to move through case results faster and with more confidence because you can see the citing relationships between cases in your Lexis Advanced search results.
Thank you. This is just one video from our global website. There are a lot of them, others around Lex Machina or other products and what you can do with them. And feel free to go there and find out what how it could benefit, or how the technology is actually delivering the results. One of the other products which we have is patent advisors, so that I'll discuss later in the slides. Any questions till now? Any? Okay. Lex Machina. It's basically uh, it's data driven decisions about your strategy, and it provides you all the analytics on different aspects of behaviors of a judge, lawyer, um, law firms based performance. So a customer can actually go and look into it as well, and predict the outcomes of different strategies as to what what you have chosen as to be the arguments or cases cited in your particular case, and if you're going to present it to a particular judge, how they're going to respond to it. So we are moving towards predictive analysis. What corporations, the way they have gained with Lex Machina, and it's also um, very much integrated with Lexis Advance, is to actually, do an early assessment of the case, monitor the open cases, you know, um, find out, and actually, increase their win records as well. Again, it is predictive. It will tell you what it is and what it predicts, and there's always a feedback mechanism which happens. It works on the data set which you have currently with that. The other thing which has been recently rolled out is for the young associates actually, and it's getting a very good response, which who are embarking on their legal careers. It's seminal case answer cards on a particular legal topic. What are those leading cases, noteworthy cases, which they should be looking at? The second one is the statutes of limitations answer cards. Again, a machine learning based. whereby, we have not done anything else with the data but made the machine learn that, if somebody just types statutes of limitation for any kind of a statute, then it gives, relevant results in that particular topic. Related search. So this is something which I was talking about earlier, whereby, the machine learns itself. And what it does is that, if you have done a query to the system, but you're not finding the results which are returned good enough, then it gives you already run queries by the other customers on that particular or the other users on that particular topic. So related searches, and then if you still don't find it, actually within your ID personalizes and gives you the views or the search results what you are looking for over and over time. Um, the other one is a judge overview, judge entity card, which is basically, that uh, it gives you a full profile of a judge. From here, you can actually go into Lex Machina and find out, how the behavior has been. And there's a profile suite where you can go and find out, what's the profile of judges, what are the most recent opinions, and Lex Machina gives you a predictive analysis as well. So once you go there, you submit your documents or your citations, you will come to know how it is performing or what the predictive analysis is going to tell you. Lexus Answers is actually the innovative product where uh, natural language questions have been integrated. We have integrated comprehensive search results, and right now we have 150,000 plus pre-computed indexed and stored answers. That's again going back to the same topic where we said that the indexing with classification of the results and as well as semantic analysis, we are storing and indexing the content. We have about 1 million plus natural language searches which are already available with us with their answer cards and with a accuracy of 87% plus right now, and our target is to take it to 100%. Let's see when it happens, but we are working on it. So this product Lexus Answers was actually named in the inaugural list of national law journals as AI leaders for 2018. Parent advisor. I'll not go into the details. Everybody is very familiar with it, how it happens and things like that. What patent advisor does is, it uses your submissions and across different offices of USPTO and gives the predictive results in the terms of what is going to be the likelihood of getting an allowance or getting a favorable result. Um, the data which shows right now is that the time of issuance has actually reduced to half using this, because then you submit more accurate things and you correct your things upfront. Yep. This is actually end of my presentation. Any questions? Any uh, yeah.
This is all fascinating to me. Hello? Making this more dramatic. This is all fascinating to me. One of the issues that we have.
Is it mic?
Just a real quick question. How do you do search results? Search results are a function of the info that you make.
with your search questions, do that, because I'm just afraid with legal research, you ask the wrong question, or you don't say it quite right, your circles are going to be real big or just not applicable. So do you apply AI and refine the search results that the dumb lawyer like me would type in?
Yeah, yeah. So in one of the slides which I showed, I did mention that we right now have 1 million plus natural language searches and their answer cards with us, right? That's how Google has been working over the years, you know, and that's where we want to be as well. We have started that journey already, and if you see the related search results, is actually giving you do you mean kind of scenario. So if you do a search, if you're not finding something, it will give you all the relevant queries which have been done by others and a pre-computed answer along with it. Plus, there is also a feedback mechanism whereby you do the searches and you find now this result is good enough, and as you keep traversing it, it starts to record everything, and that's how we are recording that and making the machine learn that whether it's a good search result or not, and relevance is high or not. Yeah. So we are headed towards that. Yep.
So I just wanted to ask you, in your opinion, which product is likely to be your most successful in the Indian market?
Lexus Advance.
Because?
Reason being that Indian market is very different to from a legal perspective. From our experience, what we observe from everywhere else, because in Indian market, the the case law and the legislations are actually available for free on a lot of other websites and government websites. They may not be linked to each other, but when you talk to any lawyers or any potential customers, they would say, well, this is given, right? I mean, you need to provide it anyhow. So what they're looking for is more of derivative products. They're looking more of analytical work, and that too in conjunction with international work, like Housbury laws of England, or you talk about PCLC judgments, you talk about corporate law. So that's what they're looking for, and that's what makes this advanced provides. There's a conjunction of all these things. On top of it, if you start providing the derivative products, which I don't think so any other or machine learning based solutions, which I don't think so any other companies are providing right now, which are leading in the market. Uh, uh,
But what about predictive analytics for judgments? Are you guys looking into that?
So predictive analysis for the judgments is something which we have on the roadmap for India. We have it for US already. As I mentioned, we will be soon rolled out in Bangalore. Well, in India, it's going to be available not next year, but next year.
And so, one last question is, what is the pricing models that you have for these kind of things? Increasingly, everybody is moving towards a sort of a.
I'm actually not the right person to ask for pricing because I am from a technology field.
Okay,
Right?
understood.
But if you want, I can connect you with.
Sure, I mean, we just want to, I mean, one of the things that we're trying to achieve with this conference and with AI as a theme is to try to understand in a little more granular fashion what it's going to take to get law firms in this network to adopt AI. And
See, I tell you what, right? I mean, as you know, Fred, right? Fred also asked one question, right? So, will you be able to provide something which Google provides, like with the, do you mean this or do you mean that? Now, in a legal world, actually, the price is not for the solution. I mean, if you look at the total composition of a price, the price for the solution is not that high. The price is for the content and the content access. Now, what happens is that, as I mentioned earlier, the way we are growing right now and the way the technology is going right now, we have API solutions available, which integrates probably with your system or provides the feed to your system. Recently, we had a customer in Sydney whereby their leading legislation product is law, and they didn't want it to buy the whole law. They said, well, can we have this particular feed for North South, New South Wales? We don't want the whole thing. So those things are getting possible. Earlier, these things were not possible because our whole content was residing on radio. Being an old technology, it was, and we all were moving so fast, it was becoming really very difficult to exist. So those options are also becoming available. It's just about, so what I mean to say is that if you have a need to come up that, I need a customized solution myself, for myself. I need only these things. Can you build this for me? So those things are possible. Just the requirements need to be given.
This is a question which I'm not sure we have a direct answer. It sounds pretty complex to me, especially when we come to products like your predictive analysis. And given that you could have various law firms using the same tool, I was wondering whether the law firm can continue to claim that it is their work product in a sense of they have copyright in that product and opinion, given that really it is because the machine learning has thrown up the result. So I was just wondering, we may not have a direct answer, but
I think there are enough and more, disclaimers and things like that, that, around whether, you could, again, it is just predictive. It is showing you the options that, basis your submissions, these are the options, these are the things that can happen, and it helps you fast track your decision. But ultimately, as I mentioned, that falls under that 44% of that red area, whereby machines cannot do that work. It can throw you options, it can give you results, but ultimately you being an experienced person and an SME of that area, you need to make a decision on that. You cannot say that yes, I got this, that's why it happened. If it's really a mistake in a written hard copy content, then yes, it's an issue. But these kind of scenarios.
But answering that, tying predictive with prescriptive. So if your algorithm says, hey, look, this judge is going to rule this way 73% of the time, that's your predictive, but then will it turn into, here's how you can increase those odds or change those odds by arguing this, this, and this. Is that how your prescriptive would work? Or?
So in so the way the Lex, the way the Lex Machina works is that you are having a case and you have a bench, submit your submissions as these are my arguments, these are my case law content or whatever it is. And again, if it is an ID you have taken and that retains, then your ID is not like shared with it. So it gives you the results, right? But if you keep on changing, so it provides you suggestions, and if you keep on changing, basis your submission will tell you this is what the probability is, and then it provides you suggestions. Similarly, in the PTO, parent advisor, it does the same thing. So it helps you correct and takes you to a more higher percentage of accuracy.
So I have a question tied to the predictive and prescriptive aspects of machine learning, as you mentioned. So as we saw with startups like Ping and VisaBot, we have companies offering legal solutions for things as mundane as contesting parking tickets to handling the execution and compliance of sophisticated contracts. So my question is, do you see the way forward for the legal industry involving some degree of cross-skilling, where lawyers are learning how to code, and maybe engineering graduates also learning, some foundation in the law?
No, I again, as I said before, I don't see that it is going to cannibalize or do a cross-selling of any of the SME skill sets. Rather, the SME skill sets requirement will increase a lot. Yeah, I can give you an example. There was a recent discussion I had with one of the startups in the legal industry, and that was in Gurgaon. Uh, there was a team of 10 members, and out of 10, 4 were developers and 6 were actually lawyers. So they were actually, because if I'm an engineer, I've been into this with Nexus for 10 years, so it has been on the job, I learned, how the case number looks like and so on and so forth. But if you start asking me more deeper things in law, I do not know. So in order to create those rules, I need to know. I need to know from the SME that with a human eye, how did you interpret this, right? What went through your mind so that I can apply those rules. And then these are the people who are going to give the feedback. Well, what you did is right or wrong. A very recent example is, you know, if people have used UK Nexus product, there is something called as redlining of the legislation. So the bills which come into the parliament, they keep on versioning, yeah? And so we would, if it comes to India, right? There are, in a particular act, you will have certain things which state can modify, and certain things which state cannot modify. So for a lawyer who's trying to practice in India or start to work with, for example, in any entity in India, in a particular state, would like to know, how the laws are differing in this particular case. It's a very good example of actually comparing the two legislations. You could do it manually, but then either you compare the whole document together, right, and find out what the differences are, which will never be possible. Probably the whole document will become red. The other good way is that an SME or who's a lawyer will say, in this particular act, these are the concurrent provisions. Can you just focus on that, right? And that actually is what goes into the lawyer's mind, the first thing, that I will need to take a look into that and I'll compare it with the federal one and see where the differences are. Once you provide the differences, and are you providing it correctly, is where the SME will come in. Yeah. So if there are no questions, one last thing is LEI forum and what Jim also mentioned before. There's a lot of opportunity now to get the solutions custom made. You don't have to stick to one solution and what you're liking for, what your needs are. There's a lot of opportunity there. So all you need to do is just reach out. Um, and I think um, those old days where you're restricted by one product in one form only, those days are actually gone. Yep. Yeah. Anything else? Thank you.
Mention will be